friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Max, my pronouns are they, them, and today, as you can tell by the title, I am going to be doing a day in the life of an autistic ADHDer. It is currently 1 PM and all I have done today so far is to have a massive lie-in, read my book, eat my breakfast and have a shower. My hair is wet, as you can see, and I'm going to be having a very slow and gentle day. I'm going to hopefully be finishing my book. I'm reading 5 Survive by Holly Jackson at the moment, which is fantastic. And I also think I'll probably do some writing, which is going to be fun. I also really wanted to share a day in the life vlog today because yesterday was a really big day for me. I'm actually just going to move positions to talk about this 1 second. So, welcome to my little floor desk area. Some of you may know if you've been watching my videos that I am in the process of trying to find a flat because I'm currently living with my parents who are moving out of the country within the next 6 months, so I'm trying to find myself somewhere to live. Obviously, I'm also autistic, and since about October of last year have been navigating autistic burnout, which for me has meant that everything that I usually find difficult about being autistic has been exacerbated. So the things that I struggle with because of autism are a lot more difficult at the moment. One of those things being navigating change and transitions and big life decisions and things like that. So this flat hunting process has been such a roller coaster for me. In the past week and a half, I've seen 5 flats, so it's been intense. I've been to see a lot of things recently, and that has meant a lot of decisions for me to make. Every time I go and see something, I have to make a decision basically about whether I want to apply for this, whether I want to put my name forward or not, whether this would be the right option for me, whether I would be happy in this place. And obviously there's a lot of factors that come into deciding whether something is right. In terms of living spaces, like, you have to think about how much the rent is, you have to think about whether it's gas or electric heating and how that would affect your bills, you have to think about the location and the area and whether that's right for you. You have to think about the actual spaces, like the rooms, and whether you can picture yourself living there. All of these things that many people would be able to consider and make a decision about without having to very actively think about it and process every single thing. That's what I have to do. That's the process that my brain goes through, and it's been incredibly overwhelming. So a couple of days ago I said, okay, I'm going to see this place on Wednesday morning. That was yesterday. I'm going to see this place on Wednesday morning, and then I'm going to have a break from it for a bit because it's been really intense, and having to make these decisions all the time is really draining for me. So I'm just going to have a break from it for a week or two, and then I'll come back to it. So I went to see this place yesterday morning, and that was going to be my last one for a couple of weeks. And I immediately really liked it. I viewed it with the landlord, who was lovely, which hasn't been the case for other ones that I've seen. It's in an area that I know and in a location that I like. It's on a bus route, which is perfect for me because I don't yet drive. Basically, I liked it, but on coming away from it, I started to get overwhelmed. I even had a cry in the car maybe 5 minutes after we left because I was already getting overwhelmed about the decision to be made. I was with my mum, thankfully, because it's really helpful for me in these moments to be able to talk to someone about things, because it's easier for me to process outwardly rather than having to do it all inside my brain. So I got home and I just basically started to have an autistic meltdown, which for me meant that I was on and off crying for about 4 hours. I felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like it was the wrong thing for me to apply for this place. I felt like something was wrong about it. I felt like I couldn't make myself do it because there was something in me that was stopping me. And I'm just the type of person where I have to trust my inner feelings about things. I have to trust my inner experience, and even if something seems like the logical thing to do, I can't make myself do it unless I feel right about it. And I just didn't feel right about it, and I was distraught about that because I knew and could tell that my mum was really excited about this place and that she felt like it was the right thing for me, and I felt so awful and so bad that I couldn't get on board. that I couldn't do the thing that outwardly seemed like the right thing to do. So yeah, I had a massive meltdown. I cried so much. I spoke quite a few times with my bestie, who was just amazing and supportive, and I'm so grateful for my friendship with her. And I really stepped into it being a no and it not feeling right, and just really trying to accept that, but heavily doubting myself all the time throughout the whole meltdown. I was like so confused, doubting everything. It was just an incredibly difficult day and thing to go through. So I decided it was a no. I, after hours upon hours of crying, decided to take myself to bed, to let myself rest, to put a comfort show on, to have a cup of tea, and to just start settling down for the rest of the day. I must have watched my show for about 15 minutes, and I'd calmed down quite a bit in that period of time, and all of a sudden a switch just flipped and I was like, no, this is the right thing for me to do. I feel it now. This is the right place for me. I need to do this. It was just such a turn of events, but I felt like my being and my state of being and my nervous system was in such a different place then that I could think about it more clearly. It was also a situation with this particular flat where if I wanted it, I could go on the website, make an offer, and that landlord could have accepted it there and then. So that was like putting a lot more pressure on me to make a quick decision, which just adds a whole nother layer of difficulty for me. It makes it so much more difficult for me to make a decision when that time pressure is there. My brain just does not work in that way. And if, like I did yesterday, if I try to force it to work in that way, if I try to force it to process something more quickly than it naturally can, then it just causes chaos for my brain, which is exactly what happened yesterday. But anyway, I got to that point where I was calmer and I just felt it within me. This is the right thing for me to do. I need to go ahead with this now. So I did, and I applied and it all went through, and I had some more contact with the landlord yesterday afternoon after I'd done that to say that I'd sent my application in, and she was lovely. So after all of that, I've had a massive lie-in this morning. I'm just trying to be as kind and gentle with myself as possible today. I'm going to hear today about, or I've been told that I'm going to hear today about whether I've got the flat or not. So I'm trying not to think about it because otherwise I will get anxious. So I'll just be spending my day doing nice and gentle and enjoyable activities. And I'm going to take you along with me. If you are navigating anything similar to this at the moment in terms of being autistic and making massive life decisions, or even just navigating the housing system, the rental system, I would love to hear below. I would love to share stories. This type of stuff is really challenging, especially if you have a neurodivergent brain. So let's have a lovely and calm day together. Firstly, I'm going to finish my book, which has been absolutely fantastic so far, and I only have about 40 pages left, so let's do it. Wow, I just finished my book. It was exceptional. I'm sure you'll hear me talk about it more in my February wrap up at the end of the month, but would 100% recommend if you have read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series and enjoyed it. 5 Survive was the book that Holly Jackson published after the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It's very different, but it's very fast paced and incredibly engaging. I'm actually really sleepy now, but I've just realised that I'm hungry and it's 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna go get some lunch. I'll probably eat downstairs with my mum and then come back up and maybe we'll do some writing together.
1 hour later.
Hello friends, so I am back upstairs. I had some leftovers for my lunch and now I'm gonna get to doing some writing. I figure I should chat a little bit about my writing and the stage that I'm at as a writer and what I'm trying to explore at the moment. So basically, I've always loved writing. It's one of those things like art, like drawing, that I've always loved doing. I can remember being a kid and writing what I saw as like a whole book within a notebook that I'd been gifted for Christmas. So it was almost like I was creating my own physical book because I'd written the whole thing in one notebook, and I loved it. But I was always very imaginative that way, and always creating stories in my head and blah blah blah. And in 2018, no, not that long ago, it must have been 2019, I completed NaNoWriMo. If you don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it's a challenge where you write every day for the month of November until you've written 50,000 words, and that's like the goal. And I finished my 50,000 words. I think I wrote a bit more than 50,000 words, but I never finished that actual novel. It's something that's very scrappy and would take a whole load of editing work that I would rather not undertake, because I was such a pantser during that period of time and I didn't plan very much. And so now I'm in a period of time where I want to commit more time to my writing practice and to creating a bit more of a sustainable writing habit as well. That would be really nice, like to be able to incorporate it into my routine a bit more. So yeah, I'm now in the stage of the process where I'm brainstorming for a new novel. I'm trying to get all my ideas out. I'm trying to coherently manage my ideas because I have so many ideas that I need to get them all out onto a page basically to be able to comprehend whether all my ideas will fit together or not. So I've already started doing that, and I've kind of got the very bare bones of an idea. I've kind of got the very bare bones of a concept and almost of an atmosphere or vibe that I want the novel to have. So this is where I'm at. I must say as well though that this part of the process where the idea of the novel and the story and the characters and the world are so loose in my mind and are not fully formed whatsoever. They're vague ideas, and so that means that every time I sit down to write, it takes me longer to get into it than when I'm already writing a story that I have a stronger connection to, because it takes my brain extra time to reconnect with that idea, to reconnect with what I did in my last writing session or brainstorming session. And for me as an autistic person, that's a struggle. I've heard of the phrase autistic inertia, and it's basically when, because of the fact that as autistic folks, most autistic folks have a hard time switching from one task to another, our brain is very monotropic, which means we're focused on one thing at a time, and to pull your brain away from that state and into another place, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of mental capacity. So I actually contemplated not writing this afternoon because I know that getting into it and getting myself back into that flow and into that state of being connected to my ideas again and being connected to the concept of this story again is going to take a lot of energy and time. But I'm just going to push through, I'm just going to go for it, because I feel like the more frequently I do this, the easier it will become, because the further along the process I'll be and the more easy it will be to reconnect to my ideas. Also, it's 3:30 in the afternoon now, and I'm really trying hard not to think too much about the fact that I'm waiting to hear about whether I've got this flat or not. So I'm just going to get into writing and distract myself by diving into another world. I just made myself a lovely chai latte with a shot of coffee in it. So if you haven't already, feel free to pause this video and go and make yourself a lovely cozy cuppa, and let's get into the writing. So firstly, let's set up the writing space. So I've now got my candles going. I've got my usual notebook that I'm using for ideas and planning for this project. I've also got a pocket pad project book that has these tabs down the side. I haven't started using this yet, but when I was participating in NaNoWriMo, I used one of these top-up notebooks that had already tabbed sections, and it was really helpful for me to have a whole A4 notebook place that could be divided into different areas of planning for the novel. So I had a section for characters, I had a section for world building, I had a section for plot, things like that. So it was really easy for me to write messy notes and know where I was coming back to if I needed to look up past scribbles. And then I have my trusty laptop. I did actually start a Google Doc last time I had a writing session. I just felt like I needed to type some things instead of writing them down, as the ideas were like starting to flow and coming forth a bit more quickly. So I now have 3 different places where I can make notes if I need to. This is very much an experimentation for me because I'm starting to take writing a little bit more seriously, and last time when I did NaNoWriMo a few years ago, it was more so like a fun project and I didn't plan very much and I wasn't taking it very seriously. I didn't actually think I would be able to finish it. It was more just like a challenge experiment to see if I would be able to do this, to see if I would be able to write this much in such a short space of time. And I did, and I loved it. So yeah, very much experimenting with trying to find systems of note-taking and planning and mind mapping and things like that that actually work for me. So now I'm just going to spend some time trying to immerse myself back into where my mind was at with things in my last writing session. So I just decided that I would pull a card. I'm using the Kyle Gray Gateway of Light Activation Oracle deck. I love pulling cards when I feel like I want to reconnect with myself or with Source or the universe or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes it really helps if I'm trying to make a decision, or when I feel like I want a little bit of clarity or support, or it can be very grounding and feel like it's one of those days where my energy is low and grounding is what I need. So I'm going to do this first and then get into the writing. Let's see what we get. If you're not familiar with Oracle card decks, usually they have 44 cards and they come with a little book that explains each card and what the message of that card is. So I just tend to shuffle and pray / talk to whoever or whatever I would like to receive a message from. That can be like spirit guides or a departed loved one or the universe or whatever you believe in. Sometimes I like to have a specific intention of something that I want to ask about, but most of the time actually for me I'm just asking for a message in general, what I'm supposed to receive today. And then whenever you feel like it's the right time to stop shuffling, you stop shuffling, or a card kind of pops out while you're shuffling. It's a beautiful card. I love the artwork on these cards. And I suppose as well, because I've done this while filming, this message will somewhat be for the people watching this video as well. Anunnaki light codes. So it says, your message. Great change is coming to you, but this can only occur if you are willing to shift your perception. You may be experiencing resistance to change, but please know this is simply fear of the new, not intuition. Oh my gosh, that was exactly what my day was yesterday. If you are wondering what is the best course of action, the Anunnaki are encouraging you to go with the new. Old systems, old ways of being, and old ways of doing things must be released if you are to evolve. Change can bring a sense of vulnerability, but will allow you to make a deeper connection to your feelings, gifts, and what is important to you. You are standing at a gateway of pure potential that will be ignited as soon as you move through this necessary change. Be open to new information, new processes, and new ideas. You are part of the new energy upon the earth. How beautiful. What a lovely message. I always, when I pull a new card, I attach it to my pin board for a few days, just to let the energy of it sit there. Okay, now let's get back into reconnecting with what I was doing the other day. So I've just finished getting back into things and re-familiarising myself with my ideas. Ooh, stray dreadlock. Now what I'm going to do is what I felt drawn to do and what I felt excited about doing, which is diving into planning the magic system of this novel. So I've definitely established that it's a fantasy and that I want elements of magic to be involved, but instead of what is known in like the writing community as pantsing, as in like flying by the seat of your pants, not planning at all, instead of doing that, which is what I've done previously, I'm actually going to do some research now on the things that I should dive into and the questions that I should be asking myself in order to plan this magic system so that it's consistent throughout the novel. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm excited about this part. I have some ideas already and kind of a concept that I want to incorporate into the magic system, but it massively needs fleshing out and properly planning. So let's do it. So friends, doesn't my little desk area look so cute? So I finished kind of establishing some questions that I'd really like to dive into and ask myself in order to flesh out this magic system. I started doing some of them and getting a little bit clearer, but I'd really like to go out for a walk before it gets too dark and take the dog outside. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm not sure that I'm going to take you with me though, because I think it's raining. Maybe I'll get a couple of clips, let's see what happens. Hey friends, so Cyrus and I just got back from our lovely walk. It was very drizzly outside. It wasn't properly raining, which was perfect because it's supposed to be raining for like most of the next week. So at least we got outside and managed to get a walk in. And now I'm feeling really tired actually. I don't at all feel like going back to sit at my desk. And today is not about pushing myself, today is about being very gentle with myself. So I'm going to give myself some rest. I know I've talked about this on my channel before, but I became aware recently in the last few months of the 7 types of rest. And I find recently that the biggest type of rest that I need is mental rest, because of the fact that recently I've been trying so hard to make all these decisions, and big decisions take a lot of mental processing for me, as I said at the beginning of this video. I'm needing a lot of mental rest in terms of just doing things where my brain doesn't have to think. So instead of carrying on with my writing, I'm very happy that I just did a little bit of research in terms of building magic systems and got a little start going on that. That's more than enough for me today. So I am actually going to chill in bed. I'm going to put a show on. I'm currently watching Mrs. Wilson on Netflix. It stars Ruth Wilson, who I thought was incredible in the His Dark Materials series. So I thought I would watch that. It's very different from the last thing I watched. I just finished a couple of days ago Lockwood & Co, which was like a very good teen ghost hunter-y, magical-y type thing, and Mrs. Wilson is a very real world story. So I'm gonna watch some of that, and I'm going to do some mindless drawing on my iPad while I watch/listen. I find that drawing is one of those things that really takes my brain out of the thinking processes and just allows me to really focus on what's in front of me, which is what I need right now. I just need a break from my mental workings. So let's do that. So it's getting a little bit further on in the day now, so sorry for the poor lighting, but I just had a very quick tidy up of my space so that it doesn't feel chaotic, because I really struggle to relax when my space feels chaotic. So I just had a very quick tidy up from the mess of filming and writing today. And before I get into bed for some chill time, I'm going to do a little 1 or 2 minute practice of something that I've been trying to do in this tiny little book for the last couple of weeks. So I decided to start leaving this tiny notebook out on my desk, and then whenever I feel like it or whenever I see it there, I write things in it, either that I love about myself or that I'm proud of myself for, or just like positive things about myself. Because I've found, as a late diagnosed autistic, I was diagnosed 2 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago now. There's been so much focus in those 2 and a bit years on the things that I struggle with about being autistic, on the things that I need to learn more about myself in order to live more happily as an autistic person. There's been a lot of focus on things that I need to overcome. There's been a lot of focus, especially during burnout, autistic burnout, on the things that I can't do and learning how to work around those things. And so over time, understandably, that has taken a toll on my self-esteem, on my self-image, how I think about myself, how I see myself in relation to everybody else in the world. That has taken a battering in recent years. And so this is just a little tool for me to try and reconnect on an every so often basis to the things that I love about myself and that I'm proud of about myself, and even sometimes that I'm proud of about my disability. Just kind of trying to reframe the negativity of it in my mind to something that I can be proud of. So I'm just going to write down a few things. So I just spent literally less than 2 minutes doing that. And over time, I really am noticing that it is starting to impact how I see myself, and I am starting to see myself more positively. Okay, let's have some rest now. So I think Cyrus is a little bit sleepy after his walk. He's just come to cuddle into my lap while I do my thing. Let me show you what I'm going to be working on. So you can't see me very well because the screen is bright, but I started this little quote piece. Everything is going to be okay. Maybe last week. And so I'm just going to be decorating around the border a bit with plants and flowers and things like that while I watch my show. And I'm probably going to do that until dinner time, and that will be the end of my day. I still haven't heard anything about the flat, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure you'll hear in a future video if I end up moving or not very soon. So yeah, that's my day. I just wanted to iterate as well that if you're an autistic person who experiences meltdowns, please make sure you look after yourself during and after, and make sure you don't put too much on your plate the day after if you have the privilege to not put too much on your plate. Basically, the way that I think of meltdowns is that your central nervous system just gets completely overwhelmed, and obviously that takes a toll on you and on your energy and on your being, and so it's really important to look after yourself during and after. Let me know below if you experience autistic meltdowns and what you do to look after yourself afterwards. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. Thank you for joining me for this little day in the life vlog today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, that's lovely. Lovely jubbly. Thank you. That's nice.